Welcome to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from De Bruyne Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
And good morning, everyone. After listening to that weather forecast, I'm like, why in the world are we doing a garden show after that? But there are things you can do in the winter. And yes, folks, I know that weather, we had in early February. Everybody was thinking it's spring and they think the snow is really awful. But it's February. It's supposed to snow and it's supposed to be cold. We need cold periods because we need to kill off all of those bugs that are outside. Remember last summer with all the ticks? That's because last winter was way too warm and they overwintered. So we need to have them all die. That's what we really do. So we really need to have the 20-degree weather for a month or a month and a half. And I know I hate to say that to everybody, but that's what, we kind of deal with. So we can get rid of those pests. We can get rid of some of the funguses that live in the soil. The soil can be frozen for 6 weeks at 2 inches, a lot of the potato scab and all the potato viruses, anthracnose and stuff will be killed. So yes, we have to be thankful for cold weather. And we have a caller on the line who's probably going to get mad at me. And good morning, caller.
Yes, I got a question about my plants. Some lettuce I planted.
Okay.
Okay, what I did, I put my lettuce in these pots, and then everything came up. So now, should I shut the heat mat off? And I had like a dome over the top of it too. And should I take the dome off and take the heat, or shut that heat mat off and just keep light over it? Or
yes, take the dome off and just keep a light over it. You're going to need at least 12 hours of light a day. So
okay.
That's it, and then just water it when it's needed.
Okay.
Yeah, you've done well. My lettuce is still going. So
well, I grew some tomato plants a few years ago. I had tomatoes grow in my front window. So
you're pretty good at this.
Oh yeah. Well, what you do at the end of the year, October, I just took some cuttings off the tomato plants and I threw them into water, and they grew roots. I put them in dirt, and then it just worked it from there. Worked out real good. So.
All right, I got to try that next year.
Yeah, it works good. You just, I just kind of babied it kind of through the winter. Then like all around February, March, I just start, putting a little fertilizer, and then just keep transfer it to a bigger pot, because I had plants that were like 3 foot tall. So.
Oh wow, yeah, they do need a bigger pot then.
Oh yeah, you got to keep transferring it because they get big. So then I transferred into the garden, and I took. So it was a real job transferred into the garden, trying to do that digging that hole. But it worked, so I just thought I'd let you know.
Good for you. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yep, bye.
Yep, bye-bye. Yep, for all of you that are growing stuff in your house, once it starts to come up above the ground, you really don't need the heat mat underneath it anymore, but you do need light above it. So remember, once it comes up, we need light above, so it helps, actually growing, keeping things green. And remember to water it. Don't overwater it, but remember to water it. It does need some water. And yeah, the dome can be taken off if you've got a plastic covering over it. That can be taken off. It's done its job. It's heated the seeds, and we're all set to go. All right. So yeah, good for you. I'm glad someone's doing something inside besides me. I've also got some herb plants going, and I always enjoy that. And I'll put those outdoors come spring. And yes, no, the warm weather we had really does not constitute spring. Remember, spring, end of March, it starts. So we've got a lot of winter yet to go. So don't be upset when, I can't. We had people coming in and asking for potatoes to plant, and they wanted seeds to plant right then in the ground. And no, the ground is too cold yet. But, don't let it fool you. Sometimes we don't look at the calendar and it's fine and you can plant when you think, but other times you gotta, yeah, use a little common sense. It's February, and Februarys are normally cold and snowy, so we've been blessed to have so much sunshine during February. But today's more of a normal day in February. I hate to say it, but it is. Okay, now, but what can we do outside right now? And right now, pruning your deciduous trees and shrubs, that is something that we do right now. And we also prune fruit trees, except for peaches. We don't do anything in the peach family right now. Those are very tender plants. The the peach trees they grow better further south, where there's a lot milder winter. So just baby those things. They don't get pruned until you actually start seeing some buds form on them, and we're well far away from that. But we can prune our deciduous trees because we can see what they look like, and we can see the whole skeleton of the tree. And remember, we need to get light inside so we can get more leaves. You trim off any branches that are crisscrossing and maybe causing a problem. We cut off any branches that are growing toward the inside of the plant. We just want branches that are growing to the outside of the plant. And if it's a tree, we really want 1 leader. We don't want 2. We don't want it to be divided. That makes it less strong as it gets older. So we want to cut that off, especially when you got a little tree. You want 1 leader to go up. And I was watching a gardening show this week, and it's for South Carolina, I believe, but they were pruning their fruit trees. And, by the time they're done pruning these trees, they start out looking, okay, maybe a few, maybe too many branches, but they end up looking like nothing's going to grow on here. And you'll be surprised what can grow on there. So you need to, if you don't know how to prune, you might want to take the pruning seminar. They're offering it at Michigan State University Extension. That the last class is going to be February 21 from 1 until 5. It does cost $40, but it's well worth it. You get lots of take-home stuff, and it's a very interactive Zoom meeting. And, she'll ask for people's opinions out of the audience. She will, before the show goes on, they ask you for pictures of your pruning problems, if you have a tree or a bush or whatever, or several, to send your pictures in, and we all talk about it, what we would do to it. And they've got a couple. Rebecca Finneman does it, and there's a couple other experts that are online with her also. So it was an excellent class in January. So I would, if you just kind of, I'm not quite sure of what branches to prune or how to keep my equipment sharp, or what equipment do I use and what's best for what size diameter that I'm going to cut, trim off. She's just full of information. So it's a great class to take, worth every penny of the $40. So you have to go to MSU Extension, click on events, and you might even put in there pruning, and it will come right up to the pruning workshop. Again, that's February 21 from 1 until 5. You do get after the end of the show, you will get an email that will link you on to the show again, so you can rewatch it. If you didn't quite catch something, you can watch it over again. And it's also got other things more on fruit tree pruning, and they had a thing on, and they talked about hydrangea pruning for all those people that just don't know what to do. That is, it's a fun exercise. This is the second time I have listened to it, and I love that one. So hopefully you love that one too. It really is, it answers a lot of questions, but do get out there, sometime this month or next month before the buds get on the tree and start pruning your trees. I would not advise you to do it on a windy day, but on cold day it's fine, warm day it's fine also. So, yeah, I would advise you to get on out there and prune all those bushes and trees and shrubs. You get them looking nice before spring comes. Then you don't have to worry about them in the summer, and you don't have to worry about them during a storm because you've cut out the weak stuff. So, again, works well. And also this weekend, it's President's Day weekend. A lot of you people have Monday off, but I don't. But it's the great backyard bird count time. President's Day weekend. I did my bird count this morning already, and I've already sent two counts in. They just ask you to sit and watch birds, count how many birds you see, tell them the location where you are, and that's all you have to do. And you can, if you go on to birdcount.org, you can sign up, they'll tell you how to put your report in. They'll also give you a link to get the Merlin Bird app on your phone. That is an excellent app. I've got it open every time I'm counting birds because there's always something I don't know. You can describe the bird. You can take a picture of the bird. You can take a recording of the sound what the bird makes, and it will tell you what it is. So that is so much fun. I enjoy that. They just ask you to do one before the end of Monday. Monday evening it stops. But it's fun. You can sit inside, watch the bird feeder. You can go for a walk and decide this is a great place to watch birds. And, for 15 minutes, you write down every bird that you see. The thing that when I'm watching by the feeder, if you get like a bunch of pine siskins in or a bunch of juncos in, and they all of a sudden they all fly away, and then 2 minutes later they all back again. You still have to count them, even though it's probably just one bird or 10 birds flying back and forth. You do have to count them all. So, but they'll tell you all of that stuff when you sign up. So birdcount.org, the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and the Audubon Society take all of the data and they figure out where birds are right now. It's kind of a snapshot of where the birds are. Are they where they're supposed to be? What's the numbers that people are seeing of them? Are they, do we need to do something to help them survive, change some habitat somehow? It's vital information, and people all around the world are doing it right now as we speak. So it's kind of fun. And you can also go to birdcount.org and then track what people are seeing in Ottawa County. If you want, or you can go to, I want to see what people are counting in Shahjahanpur in India, in Uttar Pradesh. You could go on and take a look at it, and it is fun. And a lot of people submit bird pictures, so you can see all the things people are seeing. So with that, we need to take a break here, but I will be back right after these messages.
Weekday mornings at 7:55 a.m. Catch the huge interview with me, Bill Simonson, on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of enjoying that music. I just, Googled birdcount.org, and I clued into the United States and then into Michigan. We're way down. We're the number 25 in states. Come on, folks. We can do better than that. But red-bellied woodpecker, blue jays, house finch, and mourning doves are the most seen right now. Tufted titmouse, house sparrow, dark-eyed junco, northern cardinal, black-tailed hawk, rough-legged hawk, mallard, robin, the Canadian goose, the merganser, I counted those this morning. Eastern bluebird, Okay, pine siskins, they're seeing a lot of those. Um, Goldfinches, starlings, they're seeing some of those. Ruffled grouse, long-tailed duck. I don't see any of these. Herring gulls, rock pigeons, chickadees, nuthatch, swans. They're seeing a lot of birds out in here in Michigan. So get on out there and count. It's fun. So yes, there's 83 counties. Let me see. 1,489 completed checklists have been done, and 121 species have been observed in the state of Michigan right now. So fun. If you want to do the birdcount.org, fun to do it, fun to participate maybe with kids or grandkids. That'd be fun. Well, this is the garden show. Now we will go back to gardening. And if you've got a question, you can give us a call, and it doesn't have to be about gardening. You can talk about birds too. It is 616 395 1450. 616 395 1450. I am so wanting to give out my cell phone number, and I don't know why. That's not the number to call. So I guess I'm, I don't know. That's just kind of odd, but that's my first reflex to do. All right. This is the time of year, getting toward the end of winter. And actually, there's no really green growth out there. And the deer and the rabbits are getting a little bit, they're getting not so choosy about what they eat. And suddenly they're going to be at your plants that they never eat. And all of a sudden they're eating them. So, or, the bark, or, stripping the bark, eating branches. This is the time of year they eat a lot of brown stuff. So you want to get the deer damage down to a minimum. Get out there on one of the days that gets above freezing and put something on those plants. I don't care. You can use liquid fence. There's all kinds of them. We've got a million of them. Plant Skid is an organic one. There's a couple other ones out there also that are good to spray on your plants right now, or put around your plants if you don't want the deer and rabbits to be chomping on them. If they get, arborvitae, this is the time of year they just do a number on those. So if you got arborvitae, if you know what they are, give them a good spray down. And you might want to do that down now in a week, and then every month after that, spray them down so the deer don't eat them, because they're not quite so picky about what they eat this time of year. All the things you thought were deer proof are not anymore. It's just all done. So evergreens, they'll be eating those. So, get out there and spray. All right. Frost seeding. This is the time of year that they do frost seeding. And, we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the Garden Show.
Hello, Jan.
Yes.
I have a question about rhododendrons and deer. My daughter lives in northern New York State, and the deer have never bothered her rhododendrons. But this year, the ones in her back area, they ate all the leaves off. Will those rhododendrons come back?
It's going to take a while if they do. If you cut down a branch and there's still green right underneath, it's still alive. It's not going to look that good this year. She's going to have to prune it back drastically and hope for the best and make sure it gets fertilized and watered. It should come back, but every once in a while they're getting hungry. They get desperate. The things they never ate before, they're going to eat it.
She was shocked. Well, I'll encourage her. She's patient. She is patient, and I'll encourage her to give it some time and to check if it's green. And she's cutting on down the stem.
Yes.
And to fertilize and be sure it's watered.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sometimes we have to baby those deer eaten plants. And a rhododendron, I would think that would be really tough, but hey, they have a different digestive system than we do, so who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Don't be putting. This is my number one pet peeve is they've been eating bark and kind of brown stuff now. This time of year, don't put out hay to feed them right now. They're rumen the micro microbes in the rumen, which is their stomach, the big stomach, um, cannot digest hay right now. And, it's changed from the summer microorganisms in the rumen. So don't feed them hay. If you want to put something out, and no, you don't hear this. There are deer pellets and there's corn. Those would be a more appropriate thing to feed them right now, rather than hay. Really, they really cannot handle that. We have learned that. I mean, remember in the Upper Peninsula, they would take helicopters and they would drop bales of hay down where they saw deer, and the deer were starving to death, even though they were full of hay. So we have learned a lesson. So this time of year, it's more appropriate for deer pellets or either shelled corn or corn on the cob or something like that. That's what they can digest this time of year. Their system is so different than ours. I mean, they've got the four stomachs rather than our one stomach. So they do change what they can eat during the course of the year, and it's for survival. But yeah, again, I know it's really, really, you really want to do feed them hay, but please don't do that right now. Okay, that's my thing. And also remember this: it's cold outside right now. If you've got an animal outside, make sure it's got shelter, it's got plenty of water, it's got somewhere that it's not wet, it's dry in a shelter of some sort, and out of the wind. Just take care of your animals right now. And if you don't want to be outside, they don't want to be outside either. The optimal temperature for a horse or a cow is 55 degrees. So it's a little colder than what a cow would like. So you keep them sheltered from the wind, and that would be best right now. And make sure they get plenty of water. That's a huge thing right now for them. Okay, now let's talk about frost seeding. Oh, and the phone lines are open. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. A lot of people with pastures will frost seed with clover this time of year, and that just means we put down clover seed, we scatter it, and remember clover, you don't need much per acre. I mean, you're talking 2 to 3 pounds per acre. So, be careful with that. And it should be with the freezing and thawing of the soil, the seed will get down into the soil and grow. And so, their pasture will have clover in it. This is the optimal time to put down the clover. People want to put down grass seed right now too. The problem with that is the grass seed will lie dormant until the soil warms up. But between now and when the soil warms up, we're going to get a lot of rain and stuff. And the grass seed has a tendency to just get washed out with the rain. So, it's probably not the best thing to put down grass seed right now. If your soil is wet, please don't go out on it at all. It just, where you walk, it compacts the soil, and then you've got problems. So, stay off of wet lawns. I wouldn't frost seed right now. I would wait probably till the end of March and then put down grass seed if you really need to put down grass seed this spring. And then I would put down a fertilizer. Scott's has a fertilizer that you put down, and it will prevent weeds and things you don't want from growing for 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. So then you've got that time where your grass can grow. So you want to put it down right about the time that your grass is going to germinate, because it's not going to help you if the grass doesn't germinate in that time. It's going to be kind of useless, because by the time the grass germinates and you got to keep watering and watering, it's the fertilizer and the weed preventer will have worn off, and then you'll still get it. So make sure it's right near when the grass is going to germinate. when the soil is warm enough. It is not warm enough now. So I would hold off on the grass seed. But what you can do, if you've got a hemlock tree, and you should know what a hemlock, it's got the little spiky things on it. It's an evergreen, but this is the time of year you can really spot the hemlock woolly adelgid. It looks like a piece of cotton stuck where the little green thing hits the branch itself. And if you can see it, it needs to be treated. And it's an easy thing to treat. It's once a year and really don't even have to do it every year. So go out there if you've got a hemlock tree and do check for the hemlock woolly adelgid. We need to stop. The news has got to come on. And after that will be the rest of the garden hour.
Eric Dame of ConnectingVets.com. Listen to Eye on Veterans every Saturday morning at 6 on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
All right. My goodness, they're really getting up and moving here. That's some of those little ones I want to go to sleep to because they're so nice and smooth. That one was a let's get up and move. So let's get up and get those things pruned outside. I was noticing that last fall, my lawn guys did not get all of the leaves out of my bed's right next to the house, and they've all got stone on them. And if you don't get rid of all of those leaves, they decompose right there, and then you get all of that dirt between your rocks, and you also get all that mold and moss growing on there. So get rid of them. I swept them out. I swept out a lot of the leaves this week before the snow came. That worked quite well. But I do have underneath a couple of bushes. I've got one in one area that just full of leaves. I don't know what they did, blew them under my bushes or what, but I am a little ticked about that. But hey, when they come and do my lawn next spring, they're going to find all kinds of leaves there. So that's all I can say. All right. Now, a lot of people call and ask me about, what can I do with my coffee grounds? Can I put those down? And, you can put coffee grounds down as a mulch around your plants. You cannot put down a lot of coffee grounds at one time. Just a very thin layer, because what the coffee grounds tend to do is they tend to, when you get water on them, they all kind of mat together and then water won't go through there. But you can, put a thin layer around your plants. That's fine. You can actually put the coffee grounds in your compost pile. If you've got a compost pile, feel free to put the compost in there. It is going to be, you got to put the green and the brown stuff in it also, but you can put coffee grounds. I mean, don't just do a huge layer of coffee grounds and nothing else. Remember, you got to put some leaves and sticks and other things in there to help it grow, help it go and decompose. The coffee grounds are fine. It's not going to make your soil acidic. When you brew the coffee, most of the acid has gone out of the coffee grounds, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to make your soil acidic. So, don't think that this is going to be the wear-all for changing your hydrangeas to pink or anything like that. It's not going to do that. But just sprinkle it over lightly, and you don't want to make a crust of it. And don't put them around anything like tomatoes or peppers. They're not good for around those. But if you've got, I don't know if anyone that has one, but if you've got one of those compost things on your counter that has worms in it, they love coffee grounds. So you can feed them coffee grounds. But, if you're brewing, 4 or 5 pots a day, no, probably not enough unless you have a huge composter or you have a huge lawn that you can put it around. So keep that just a little bit is good. But remember, they've got copper in it, zinc, calcium, manganese, and iron. So it is good source of those, but they have to decompose before your plants get it. And for them to decompose, it has to take nitrogen out of the soil to help it decompose. So it will decompose and make a after all in all, it will make a positive to your soil. But as just putting it down without composting it first, it's going to take nitrogen out of the soil first. But you can do it. It's not going to harm your plants at all. Another thing is eggshells. People, I have heard this for so long. Put the eggshells around your plants and you won't get slugs. No, that doesn't work. That just is not good enough. And also, before you put any eggshells out in your lawn, you need to sterilize them first. This sounds like way too much work to do, but you have to put them in the oven on low heat for like 10 minutes, or you can put it in the microwave on high power for at least 10 seconds. Don't rinse them because that will wash away some of the organic matter in the shell, which you want to keep. And sterilizing them makes it clean anyway, so don't worry about it. But and once you've got them sterilized, you have to take them with a mortar and pestle or one of those spice grinders or whatever, and you need to make this into a powder. Make it as easy as it possibly can be for the soil to decompose that. So make it into a powder, then you can put it around your plants. And remember, the sterilizing is very important. Chickens, eggs, salmonella. You don't want to be putting salmonella back onto your soil because that will get in your plants. So we want to sterilize them first, crush them into a powder, and I do mean powder, before you put them on. And you can just sprinkle it, just like the coffee grounds, around thinly onto the plants. That works. You do not, let me see, what plants, it's got a lot of calcium. So it does help the peppers and the tomatoes and the other plants that are prone to blossom and rot, like your peppers, your tomatoes, your squashes. So spread it thinly around those. You can be saving your calcium or your eggshells up for a while and do this. And again, if you have a worm composter or a wormery, I think it's called, they love the powdered eggshells also. And you can also put that on your compost pile. So you can do that all, but you got to remember you have to sterilize it first in the microwave or the oven, and then we crush it, and then we can put it out. It's a lot of work to do this, but hey, if it gives your plant something beneficial, go ahead and do it. Another thing would be wood ash. People like to take their ashes from their wood pile now, or from their fireplace. Do not now he's telling me I got to take a break right now. So we will learn about wood ash right after these messages, and we'll be back with a garden show then.
Where Holland turns for news and more. 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
All right, we are back after that. Okay, that's kind of fun to listen to. We were talking about what you can put on your compost pile. Wood ash is a very good one. In fact, it's like fertilizer. It's got a high potash or potassium level. Don't take the ash from your charcoal briquettes. That does not work. And definitely no coal ash. I mean, that has too high in sulfur and it will not work. But, your regular fireplace, if you've got burning some wood or your fire pit, that's fine. Just no charcoal briquettes for your for your ash. It's got to be wood ash and no coal ash. But it is a good fertilizer. and actually the little pieces of charcoal there in there that makes it even better. But use your common sense when you're using this. Once it's collect it only once it's completely cooled down, and never hot hash with plastic. That does not work at all. Metal tubs are best. And you just scatter it on your beds. It's water soluble and easily washed through. So adding it in the winter, you can do it, but save some for the growing season also. I'll tell you, the brassicas really love wood ash, and they're like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, um, kohlrabi, turnips. They all are brassicas and all love the potassium that's in the wood ash. Don't use it around any acid loving plants, like blueberries, rhododendrons, raspberries, and so on. And don't scatter it where you want to grow potatoes next year, because alkaline soils tend to encourage potato scab, and we certainly don't want to do that. So it can change the pH, but it is not an effective way to change the pH. You'd have to add so much, and it's really not worth it. Lime would be a better way to make the alkaline soil. So yeah, it's a good thing to put down, but use your common sense. That always is the best thing to do. Now, we've been talking about things you can do outside, but there are things you can do inside with your plants right now. It's really not time to up pot your plant. That means taking your plants and moving them into the next size bigger pot. Next month would probably be a better month for that. But what you can do for them right now is you can take a damp cloth or something and wipe the leaves off on your plants. They don't get the wind like they would out if they were growing outside. So, they get that layer of dust on their tops of their leaves, and then they can't photosynthesize well because the dust is covering all of the green, all of the chlorophyll that's in there. So we need to just take a damp cloth or a dry dust rag, whatever you want, and just get the dust off the plants. Off on your African violets too, it's best to get that off. You can use either a really soft rag or a soft brush to brush it off. They've got the fuzzy leaves, so you don't want to take just a rag and just really ream on them. We don't want that. Just very lightly, just kind of paintbrush. It got a nice soft paintbrush. You could use that just to get the dust and dirt off the top of the plants, so they can use the sunlight that we get some days. And that would be makes very healthy and happy plants. So I did mine last week. And another thing is, this is the time of year when you had them outside last summer, you brought them in. This is the time of year you start seeing like the aphids and the fungus gnats and all of that stuff. So do take a good look at your plants, especially if they're kind of crowded. They need to be kind of thinned out, and then we need to, again, dust them off and think about what plants we're going to up pot in another month and get that done before the growing season really starts. Remember, we really aren't fertilizing our indoor plants right now unless they are, like if you've got your, planting some lettuce seeds and they're growing, then you can fertilize them. Our house plants are basically kind of dormant inside right now because the day length is gone. So don't fertilize them until they start producing flowers again. That would be the best thing for them. So let's keep that in mind, and we'll have happy plants later on. The brown tips at the end of the leaves, that is just, the salts that are in your fertilizer or even in your water that you're using to water your plant. If the plant gets too much, it needs to get rid of it. And what it does is it sends it out to the tips of the leaves. And that's what the brown is on the leaves. You can take a scissors and cut that off. And I would do that. But if your pot has got that white crusty stuff on it, you're really going to need to have to replant that right now. So you're going to need to take it out of the pot. And if you want to keep it in the same pot, you're going to really have to wash it well, get all that white crusty stuff off. Use all new fresh soil. And then your plants will be happy if you repot them in new fresh soil. They would be extremely happy and they would be growing again. But just remember, if you water this time of year, get your watering bucket that you use outside or can, fill it with water, put it in the garage, and let it sit for a day. Those salts will precipitate out of the water, and your plants will be happier for it. So don't take it right out of the faucet and bring it right over to the plants. I always water my plants once a week. It's on a certain day. So I know the day before I fill up my water things and I put them on the bench in the garage. And then the next day I know right where the water is. I bring it inside to let it warm up a bit first, but then I know, it's going to be good for the plants and I don't get those brown leaves at the tips of the plant. It's just such an irritating thing to happen. And so you don't want that. So do get the scissors out, get them off. You can reshape the tips however you like. And let's get them out of that pot and plant new soil. And then make sure you use water that has been sitting out for a while. All right, that's the end of my sermon for the day. We will come back next week, but I will be here on Tuesday morning at 8:35 or around in there with Dan for the garden party. And I will be back on Tuesday morning between 10 and 11 on Talk of the Town with Gary. And we will talk all things. We talk about everything on that show. It is not just confined to just gardens. We really go off on a tinge, but yes, but I will be back here next Saturday at about 11:05 once the news is done, and I will be bringing you all kinds of fun stuff next week. The closer we get to gardening time, you get kind of anxious and get these wet days in February where it's warm and it's sunny and you really want to get outside. But do remember, it's still just February. We're going to be pruning our stuff, but we're not going to be planting anything. I've had a lot of people come in the store and want seed potatoes, but no, we don't even have them. I don't think we could get them in without having them freeze, so we certainly don't want that. So we will have those in March like we always do, but I will be back here next week at 11:05 with the garden show. I got it right this time. But until then, go green.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from De Bruyn Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.